So we got home, we did our usual night thing, and then the next morning, we got our stuff together to head out on the cruise, which is, the
Ah,
part everybody wants to hear about.
and we were so excited. It was like, I was just like, can't wait to get on this cruise. We're finally going to get into Yacht Club. We're finally going to have a nice balcony suite in the Yacht Club. We're going to be able to wash our clothes from the weekend since we packed really light
Mhm.
because we were going to have, a butler on the service for the service. So we could, do our pressing, our washing, and have everything taken care of. All of our meals, our hotel, everything is prepaid. All of our drinks, we didn't have to worry about anything. So I was super excited to just be taken care of, basically, and see Brazil and Uruguay for the first time. Those are two new countries that we've never seen. So I was super excited.
So we got ourselves an Uber, and I think it was Uber, and headed down to the port. The port wasn't far away. And when we got there, it was so
Hmm.
packed, that the driver basically said,
I have to drop you off like a mile from the cruise port.
well, it was closer than that, but
It was far.
it was closer than that. Anyhow, we walked to the port, and then, of course, as MSC is Yacht Club, we're supposed to have this, fancy tent, walk in,
Yes.
hand your stuff over,
Champagne.
hop on a chariot, and be driven to where you need to go.
Yes.
But what we get when we get there, all we see is this line of,
And it wasn't even a line, it was like a blob of thousands of people. It was
trying to get in.
brutal, blocking the road,
Yep.
blocking everything. You couldn't even see if there was a yacht club line, and trying to ask them in Spanish, is there a special line, a first class line, a yacht club line? Impossible.
Yep.
So I just said, forget it. I'm jumping this line, and walked around it and walked up to the very front of the line and talked to somebody there with a yacht club little thing. And I said, I'm in the yacht club. Do I have to stand in this line? And they're like, no, you don't. Come around, go around all these people and come in. And I said, oh my goodness, my husband is back a mile in the line with
Holding the
all of
bag.
our stuff. I don't know how I'm gonna get him back here. Let me call him. So I actually had to call him in the line and say, come to the front of the line, or almost the front of the line, where I can let you through the gates.
Yep.
And then, of course, as I'm letting him through the gates, past all these people, the Spanish people, the security was like, is this allowed? Is this allowed? And you can't do this. You can't do this. I'm like, yes, I can. We're doing it. Going on through the barriers and going to the yacht club. And I finally got the girl to wave me down and say, yes, it's okay. And then, of course, they weren't thinking our bags were too big too, with the bikes in them, because they look big, but they're standard size. So
And yeah, and because it was Yacht Club, I don't think they cared.
Mhm.
They treated us awesomely. They just grabbed our bags, put them on the belt. She literally said, "Come with me." Walked us through all the crowds, all the security lines,
Unbelievable.
all the way up the escalators, all the way to the front. We were probably the third couple to actually get to where you're at the counter. They're checking your information, your
But let's go back
passports.
to what we walked by. So we walked for about a mile by thousands of people in this position. So if we had to stand in that line,
Oof,
it would have
brutal.
been 2 hours long to stand in that line. So there's no way I am getting on MSC ever again, not being Yacht Club.
There you
That's
go.
number one, because you can't stand there for an hour and a half. And of course, we didn't bring a bottle of water, and we couldn't bring any drinks. So we had to stand there for an hour and a half with no drinks, no bathroom. You know me, there's no way I can do that. So anyway, now we're at the desk.
Now we're at the desk. We're passports done. Here you go. We
Boarding
printed out your
passes.
cards.
Boarding passes, here
Yep.
they are.
We got your little MSC bracelets ready to go.
Yep, the card, the bracelets, everything ready to go.
And she says, "Great, you're all set. Where's your Brazilian visas?"
I'm like, well, we didn't get Brazilian visas because when we booked the tickets, there were no visas required. And also, when we checked in for the cruise, there were no visas required. So,
Yeah.
well, so I said, okay, so how do I get one? How do I get a Brazilian visa? They said, oh, you can't. It's impossible. You can't do it. And I was like, oh, sure. Okay, can I see your manager? Let's get the manager. And let's get online at the same time. So I'm on Brazilian visa. I'm filling out the forms to do Brazilian visa. I'm like, here you go. Here's how we do it. I got it. Anyway, and then the other guy,
He was one of the pursers or stewards or whatever. He comes
the
over.
manager.
He comes over and he said, I'm sorry, but you guys aren't getting on this cruise.
Nope, we're not getting on. It's no way you can get a Brazilian visa. The earliest is 5 days expedited.
And we said,
And I said, first of all, that's crazy. And no one warned us about that. We got a warning about our Argentinian healthcare that we needed, Argentinian paperwork that we needed, and all the other paperwork we needed for the other countries. Why did you not send us anything for Brazil? We didn't know. They're like, oh yeah, it's happening to a lot of people today.
Yeah, he said specifically it's happening to a lot of Americans today. So if any of you were on that cruise or were supposed to be on that cruise and got screwed, we've got points for you or tips for you here at the end of this. But so they left us basically hanging in limbo saying there's nothing we can do. We said, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Can't we get on a cruise and you just get a bracelet that says we can't get off in Brazil?
So we won't get off in Brazil. We'll just get on the cruise. You know, we pay for the cruise. We would just, the 3 stops in Brazil. We'll just stay on the boat. You know, we heard in Russia, that's what some people did. If they didn't have the Russian visa, which we knew ahead of time to get a Russian visa, so we got off. But this one, they never warned us. So, we didn't get off.
Yeah, his answer was, we can't do that because the ship is going directly to Brazil, and therefore when the pilot comes out with us, they're bringing immigration on with them, and we cannot have anybody without a visa on whatever. That was his explanation.
They're getting on the boat. They're checking everybody's passport and visa, and I'm like, that doesn't.
Yeah,
I still wasn't convinced that we can't get through this at this point.
Literally in shock. Literally in shock watching this happen.
8 days. I'm like, this is 8 days of paid food, drink, hotel, and our flight at the end of this. We have another 8 days here. We need to figure out how to get on this boat.
Yeah.
So this was like the most stressful thing I think that I've ever had to overcome.
While she's talking to him and trying to get the visa thing online, and she asked, "Can we do it at the embassy?" And they're like, "You can't do that because it's a holiday. There's nobody there." So it wasn't going to work out anyway. So I'm on the phone with MSC. I get a hold of someone and I say, we're being denied boarding for this reason, which we don't agree with. You didn't tell us that we needed this visa. And
well, you didn't need it when we booked the cruise. That was the thing. This is new problems because of Trump's tariffs.
Yeah.
This is the reason that this new visa was implemented is recently that we didn't know about.
And then the MSC rep basically said, well, you're responsible for all the documentation you need to get into another country, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, if that's the case, then why did you spend the last 3 months emailing us, telling us that we had to have insurance, health insurance, to get into Argentina? Why did you do that, but not tell us we had to have a visa? And he didn't have an answer for that. So we're getting frustrated and we're like, okay, so whatever. What if we just get the visa by chance and we fly over to Brazil?
Right.
Can we hop on the ship then? Oh, sure, you can do that. That'll be a change order.
Yeah.
How much is that? $1,500 a person.
I'm like,
okay, so
$1,000 to cut our cruise in half.
Yeah,
I don't understand that.
So that doesn't work. So then we're like,
still wanted to do it.
Wanted to do it, but the odds of it happening weren't going to happen. So okay, what if we cancel the cruise? You can do that. There's a change fee. What's that? $1,500 a person. So we're going to pay $3,000 to cancel the cruise we paid $5,500 for and lose that.
And they wouldn't give the money back to us. They would only give us an MSC credit for later.
Yeah, so he said,
I'm like, so I'm going to have, I'm going to basically have paid $8,000 to say I have to come back on MSC after this? I don't think so.
Yep.
That's not happening.
So then he said, well, did you book travel insurance with the cruise? Did you book insurance with the cruise? No, we didn't. He goes, oh, well, if you'd have done that, the change fee would have been less. Well, what would that have been? Oh, it would have been $12.50 a person. So I'm telling you right now, don't buy the travel insurance because you're
Never
only going
buy
to save
that.
$500. That's a waste.
Exactly. The
So-
most important thing is to book the cruise on a good credit card, which has travel insurance.
And yeah, we'll get
But
to that.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Anyhow, after spending, 30, 40 minutes there trying to talk to them, and me talking to the guy on the phone, he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, we're going to do nothing.
We're gonna do nothing.
And he goes, well, what do you mean? Are you getting on the boat? I said, no.
No. I'm not
He says,
getting
then
on.
we'll cancel the cruise. I said, the
Nope.
hell you will.
You're not using
We're
our
not,
room.
we're not paying you for that, and
No
we're not doing
way.
it.
Nope, not canceling it.
Yep.
Not doing anything.
So we walked away.
So we walked away. Go back to where we put our luggage in at the yacht club, and they're like, well, what are you doing? We said we need our luggage back. They were able to get it back at least. And then we're going out into that huge crowd of people trying to get in and trying to figure out, yeah, exactly. What are we going to do next? I was distraught. I'm like, we're homeless.
Yeah, we're not going back to.
We don't have any place to stay. We don't have any hotel. We don't have, at least we have all of our stuff. What can we do next here to at least find a hotel for tonight? Because we were done with Buenos Aires. We saw everything we wanted to see. At least Uruguay is just a ferry ride away. About 3 hours. And I thought, okay, let's see if we can figure out how to at least see the last stop of our cruise, which was Montevideo.
While we figure things out.
Well, we figure something out. So we'll go day by day, just figure out what we can do tonight. Like, I'm not going homeless in Buenos Aires tonight. There were no hotels there. So we had to figure out a way to get out of that country and find a hotel there.